close your eyes and take a deep breath. Tonight, you're traveling back in time, to the lands of myth, wisdom, and wonder. This is the entire story of ancient Greece, told gently and slowly to help you relax and drift into peaceful sleep. From the birth of the gods on Mount Olympus to the golden age of philosophy and the mighty conquests of Alexander the Great, let the whispers of history carry you through one of humanity's most legendary civilizations. Settle in, get cozy, and let the timeless tales of ancient Greece cradle you into dreams. Close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, and imagine the whisper of waves lapping at sunlit shores. Tonight, I will tell you the story of ancient Greece, a story of gods and mortals, of wisdom and war, of art, philosophy, and the legacy of a people who helped shape the world. So, get comfortable, let your body relax, and let the soothing rhythm of history guide you into peaceful sleep. The dawn of myth and legend. Long, long ago, before cities rose from stone, before warriors marched under the banners of Sparta or Athens, there were only the myths. In the earliest times, the Greeks believed that the world began in chaos, a swirling nothingness. From this chaos came Gaia, the earth, and Uranus, the sky. Together, they birthed the Titans, giant beings who ruled before the gods. Among these Titans was Cronus, who overthrew his own father, Uranus, and became king of the cosmos. Yet Cronus was warned that one of his children would one day overthrow him. To prevent this, he swallowed each child as soon as it was born. But Rhea, his wife, could not bear to lose all her children. When her youngest, Zeus, was born, she hid him away in a cave on the island of Crete, wrapping a stone in swaddling clothes for Cronus to swallow instead. When Zeus grew strong, he forced Cronus to cough up his siblings, Poseidon, Hades, Hera, Demeter, and Hestia. Together, they waged a mighty war against the Titans, known as the Titanomachy. At last, the Titans fell, and the gods took their thrones on Mount Olympus. And so began the age of the Olympian gods, a pantheon of powerful beings who watched over mortals and sometimes meddled in their affairs. The Age of Heroes. In this age, heroes rose and fell, and their stories echoed through Greek culture for centuries. There was Heracles, whom the Romans called Hercules, a hero of unmatched strength who performed 12 labors, slaying monsters and completing impossible tasks to atone for past sins. There was Theseus, who journeyed into the twisting corridors of the labyrinth to slay the Minotaur, a beast half-man, half-bull. There was Jason, who led the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece, sailing into unknown seas on adventures filled with gods and dangers. And there was the Trojan War, a conflict sparked by beauty and pride. The Trojan prince Paris stole away Helen, the wife of King Menelaus of Sparta, whose beauty was said to launch 1,000 ships. Greek armies laid siege to Troy for 10 long years. In the end, the Greeks used cunning rather than strength, leaving behind the fabled wooden horse that concealed their soldiers. Troy fell, and its people were scattered. The epic poems, the Iliad and the Odyssey, immortalized this war and its heroes, their verses echoing through centuries. The rise of Greek city-states. From myth, we step into history. By around 800 BCE, Greece was emerging from a dark age. Small kingdoms transformed into independent city-states called polis. Each polis had its own government, laws, and customs. Two of the most famous city-states were Sparta and Athens. Sparta was a warrior society built for discipline and strength. From the age of 7, Spartan boys were trained as soldiers, taught to endure pain and hardship. Spartan women were respected for their role in raising strong warriors, and they enjoyed more rights than women in many other Greek cities. Athens, by contrast, became a center of art, philosophy, and democracy. Here, citizens gathered in assemblies to debate laws and make decisions. Though their democracy excluded women, slaves, and foreigners, it was a revolutionary idea that ordinary citizens could have a voice in government. The age of colonization and trade. During the 8th and 7th centuries BCE, Greek city-states began sending settlers overseas. They founded colonies along the coasts of modern-day Italy, Turkey, North Africa, and even as far as southern France and Spain. These colonies helped spread Greek culture, language, and ideas across the Mediterranean. Trade flourished. Greek merchants exchanged olive oil, wine, and pottery for grain metals and luxury goods. Greek art, sculpture, and architecture grew more refined. Pottery was adorned with graceful figures and elegant patterns. Temples rose from marble, their columns reaching skyward. The Persian Wars. In the early 5th century BCE, Greece faced an immense threat from the mighty Persian Empire under King Darius and later his son Xerxes. The Persian Wars began when Greek cities in Asia Minor rebelled against Persian rule. Athens sent ships to help, angering the Persians. In 490 BCE, Darius launched an invasion of Greece, landing at Marathon. Against overwhelming odds, the Athenians won a stunning victory. Legend tells of Phidippides, a messenger who ran all the way from Marathon to Athens, about 26 miles, to announce the triumph before collapsing. 10 years later, Xerxes returned with an enormous army. At the narrow pass of Thermopylae, King Leonidas and his 300 Spartans held back the Persian tide for days. Though they fell, their sacrifice inspired all of Greece. Eventually, the Greeks defeated Xerxes' forces at the sea battle of Salamis and the land battle of Plataea. Greece remained free, and its victory kindled a golden age. The Golden Age of Athens. In the decades that followed, Athens reached heights of brilliance. Under the leadership of Pericles, the city became the heart of art, learning, and architecture. The Parthenon was built atop the Acropolis, a temple to Athena, the city's protector, adorned with magnificent sculptures. Philosophers roamed Athens' streets. Socrates questioned everything, urging people to examine their lives. His pupil Plato wrote dialogues exploring justice, love, and truth. Plato's student Aristotle would become one of history's greatest thinkers, shaping science, ethics, and logic. Drama flourished. In open-air theaters, Athenians watched tragedies by Sophocles and Euripides and comedies by Aristophanes, laughing and weeping together under the stars. Democracy in Athens reached its peak, but tensions were growing. The Peloponnesian War. Athens' power stirred fear in Sparta and its allies. Rivalry between these great city-states led to the Peloponnesian War, lasting from 431 to 404 BCE. The war devastated Greece. Cities were burned, crops destroyed, and thousands perished. A deadly plague struck Athens, claiming the life of Pericles. In the end, Sparta prevailed with help from Persia, and Athens fell from its position of power. The war left Greece weakened, paving the way for new forces to rise. The rise of Macedonia. To the north lay Macedonia, a kingdom ruled by King Philip II, who united Greek city-states under his leadership. But it was Philip's son, Alexander, who would change the world. Alexander the Great. In 336 BCE, at just 20 years old, Alexander became king. Tutored by Aristotle, he combined Greek learning with boundless ambition. Alexander led his armies eastward, defeating the mighty Persian Empire in a series of astonishing battles at Issus, Gaugamela, and beyond. He marched into Egypt and founded the city of Alexandria, which would become a beacon of knowledge and culture. Pushing ever east, he crossed into India, fighting elephants and mighty kings. Yet his soldiers grew weary longing to return home. Reluctantly, Alexander turned back. In 323 BCE, at the age of 32, Alexander fell ill and died in Babylon. His empire stretched from Greece to India, a realm unlike anything the world had seen. Though short-lived, his conquests spread Greek culture far and wide, in a period known as the Hellenistic Age. The Hellenistic world. After Alexander's death, his generals divided the empire, founding kingdoms in Egypt, Asia, and Greece. Greek language, art, and ideas blended with local cultures, creating vibrant, diverse societies. In Alexandria, the great library gathered knowledge from across the world. Scientists like Euclid and Archimedes advanced mathematics and physics. Artists sculpted lifelike statues, capturing human emotion in marble and bronze. Rome and the end of Greek independence. For centuries, Greece had been a world of city-states, gods and heroes, philosophers and artists. Its cultural brilliance illuminated the ancient Mediterranean. Yet by the 3rd century BCE, that luminous world stood on the brink of enormous change. Across the Ionian Sea, in a small city on the Tiber River, a new power was rising, Rome. The story of how Greece lost its independence to Rome is not merely a tale of conquest, but of shifting alliances, political intrigue, and the relentless momentum of history. The Hellenistic world after Alexander. The seeds of Rome's eventual dominance over Greece were sown long before the first Roman legion crossed into Greek lands. In 323 BCE, Alexander the Great died suddenly in Babylon, leaving behind a vast empire stretching from Greece to India. He left no clear heir old enough to rule. Almost immediately, his generals, known as the Diadochi, plunged into bloody conflicts, carving the empire into rival kingdoms. Out of these struggles emerged 3 major Hellenistic powers: the Ptolemies in Egypt, the Seleucids in Asia, the Antigonids in Macedonia. In mainland Greece, city-states retained some autonomy, but increasingly fell under Macedonian influence. Yet despite the turmoil, Greek culture flourished. Cities like Alexandria became centers of learning and commerce, blending Greek and Eastern traditions in art, science, and religion. However, the constant wars drained resources and weakened these Hellenistic kingdoms, leaving them vulnerable to new threats from the West. Rome's rise in the Mediterranean. Meanwhile, Rome, once a minor city-state, had been expanding steadily across the Italian peninsula. By the early 3rd century BCE, Rome dominated Italy. Its next major conflict, however, would catapult it onto the world stage: the Punic Wars against Carthage. Between 264 and 146 BCE, Rome fought 3 devastating wars with Carthage. In the process, Rome not only defeated its fiercest rival, but gained control of Sicily, Sardinia, Spain, and vast wealth from tribute and trade. As Rome grew stronger, its gaze inevitably turned eastward, to Greece and the wealthy Hellenistic kingdoms. Greek politics and Roman intervention. Greece in the 3rd and 2nd centuries BCE was politically fragmented. 2 main leagues competed for influence: the Aetolian League, centered in central Greece; the Achaean League, based in the Peloponnese. Meanwhile, Macedonia under the Antigonid dynasty remained powerful, often intervening in Greek affairs. Greek states, eager to preserve or expand their influence, began seeking alliances with Rome, hoping to counterbalance their rivals. This tendency to invite Rome into Greek disputes would prove disastrous. The First Macedonian War, 214 to 205 BCE. Rome's first significant involvement in Greece came during the Second Punic War against Hannibal of Carthage. King Philip V of Macedonia, sensing Roman distraction, allied with Hannibal and sought to expand his influence into the Aegean. Alarmed, Rome intervened, forging alliances with the Aetolian League and other Greek states. The conflict, known as the First Macedonian War, ended indecisively, but it marked the beginning of Roman entanglement in Greek politics. The Second Macedonian War, 200 to 197 BCE. After the First Macedonian War, Philip V turned eastward, attacking territories in Asia Minor allied with Rhodes and Pergamum. Once again, Greek states appealed to Rome. In 200 BCE, Rome declared war on Philip V. The decisive clash came at the Battle of Cynocephaly in 197 BCE. There, the Roman legions defeated the Macedonian phalanx, demonstrating the superiority of the Roman military system. The war ended with the Peace of Tempe, stripping Philip of much of his power. Rome proclaimed the freedom of the Greeks at the Isthmian Games in 196 BCE, winning enormous goodwill in Greece. Crowds cheered, believing Rome would leave them in peace. But Roman involvement was far from over. Antiochus III and the Roman wars in Greece. Not long after Philip's defeat, the Seleucid king Antiochus III attempted to expand into Greece, encouraged by the exiled Carthaginian general Hannibal. Rome intervened again, defeating Antiochus at the Battle of Magnesia in 190 BCE. Under the Treaty of Apamea, Antiochus was forced to withdraw from Asia Minor, paying Rome massive reparations. The balance of power in the eastern Mediterranean had shifted decisively toward Rome. The Third Macedonian War, 171 to 168 BCE. Despite earlier defeats, Macedonia remained a source of instability. Philip V's son, Perseus, inherited the throne and tried to restore Macedonian influence. Rome accused Perseus of plotting against Roman interests. The conflict escalated into the Third Macedonian War. At the Battle of Pydna in 168 BCE, Roman legions under Lucius Aemilius Paulus utterly crushed the Macedonian phalanx. The phalanx, a formation of tightly packed spearmen, could not maneuver on broken ground and was no match for the flexibility of the Roman legion. Macedonia was divided into 4 republics under Roman oversight, effectively ending its power. The destruction of Corinth and Carthage, 146 BCE. By 146 BCE, Rome decided to remove any remaining threats. 2 significant events in that year symbolized Rome's dominance. Carthage was destroyed after the Third Punic War, its population enslaved, and its city razed. In Greece, the city of Corinth, a major center of trade and culture, rebelled as part of the Achaean League's resistance against Roman interference. The Roman general Lucius Mummius marched into Corinth, defeated the Greek forces, and ordered the city burned. Statues and art treasures were carried off to Rome. Many citizens were killed or sold into slavery. The destruction of Corinth marked the end of Greek political independence. Greece becomes a Roman province. After 146 BCE, Greece was not formally annexed as a single province immediately. Instead, various regions were placed under Roman oversight. The province of Macedonia was established first, covering large areas of northern Greece. In 27 BCE, under Augustus, the province of Achaia was officially created, encompassing southern Greece, including Athens, Sparta, and Corinth. Thus, the Roman province of Achaia was born. Although politically subdued, Greece retained local autonomy in many cities, especially those considered centers of learning and culture. Life under Roman rule. While Greece lost its independence, it gained peace and integration into a vast economic network. Roman emperors admired Greek culture deeply. Educated Romans spoke Greek, read Greek literature, and studied under Greek philosophers. Wealthy Romans collected Greek art. Even the Roman gods absorbed Greek attributes. Cities like Athens remained vibrant intellectual centers. Roman elites sent their sons to Athens to study rhetoric, philosophy, and literature. Greek sculptors and architects worked across the empire, leaving their mark from Rome to distant provinces. Economic and social changes. Roman rule brought economic changes. Greek cities paid taxes to Rome and provided men for military service. Trade flourished under Roman roads and protection. Greek ports buzzed with ships carrying grain, oil, wine, and luxury goods. However, the grandeur of earlier ages faded. Many Greek cities faced economic decline. Wealth concentrated in fewer hands, and rural areas suffered under tax burdens. Some cities shrank in population. Greek culture's enduring legacy. Though politically subdued, Greece's cultural influence over Rome and the Western world only grew stronger. Greek art and sculpture shaped Roman aesthetics. Greek philosophy profoundly influenced Roman thinkers like Cicero and Seneca. Greek language became the lingua franca of the Eastern Roman Empire. Greek architecture inspired Roman temples, theaters, and public buildings. Even the New Testament was written in Greek, underscoring its central place in the culture of the Roman world. Greece in the Roman imperial period. Under the Roman Empire, Greece experienced moments of prosperity, especially under emperors like Hadrian, who loved Greek culture. Hadrian rebuilt Athens and constructed monuments, such as the Library of Hadrian and the Arch of Hadrian. The Panhellenian, a league of Greek cities established by Hadrian, fostered a revival of Greek identity and pride. Despite Rome's dominance, Greek cities maintained their cultural traditions. Festivals, theaters, and games continued to be celebrated. The Olympic Games remained a significant event. The decline of pagan Greece. Over time, Christianity rose in the Roman world. By the 4th century CE, it became the empire's official religion under Constantine the Great. Temples closed, pagan rituals faded, and Greek philosophical schools declined. Athens' famous philosophical schools survived until the reign of Justinian in the 6th century CE, when they were finally shut down. Yet even as the pagan world faded, Greek influence lived on, this time as the foundation of Byzantine civilization, which preserved Greek language and culture for another 1,000 years. The legacy of Greece under Rome. The end of Greek independence was not simply a tale of defeat. It was the beginning of a new chapter, in which Greek culture spread deeper into the Mediterranean world. Rome conquered Greece politically, but Greece conquered Rome culturally. The ancient historian Horace put it best: Graecia capta ferum victorum cepit. Captured Greece, took captive her fierce conqueror. Rome absorbed Greek philosophy, art, science, and literature. Through Rome, Greek culture would pass into the medieval and modern worlds, shaping Europe and beyond. A lasting influence. And so, the story of Rome and the end of Greek independence is not only a story of battles and broken cities. It's the story of how one civilization fell under the rule of another, yet continued to shine, shaping ideas, art, and knowledge that endure to this very day. Even in its political twilight, Greece's legacy radiated outward, leaving an indelible mark on human history. For though the legions marched across Greek lands, it was Greek thought, art, and wisdom that conquered the hearts and minds of the Roman world, and through Rome, the world entire. As the final echoes of ancient footsteps fade, know that you've journeyed through centuries of wonder, from the spark of myth to the brilliance of philosophy. May the wisdom of Socrates, the strength of Sparta, and the beauty of Athens stay with you through the night. Thank you for spending this peaceful moment exploring the past. If you enjoyed this bedtime journey through ancient Greece, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know what civilization you'd like to dream through next. Until then, sleep well, dream deep, and may history whisper you into restful slumber.